but we hear, okay, well, we can't do this and this because these opportunities weren't provided. And that was very true. That is very true in a lot of areas of the world. But now we have this. So if you have a problem with your car, you can dispel that ignorance via watching a 5-minute video on YouTube or whatever to find out how to fix that. So a lot of ignorance is dispelled through this. Do you think that that kind of plays any role in the advancement of humanity? I guess for a lack of a better question, do you think that it kind of, now that we're in this sphere of just knowledge, being able to have it all at your fingertips, you see people either going one way of um, seeking, TikTok videos all day and not learning anything, versus on the other hand, you see people that do delve in and kind of uh, are waking up to a lot of the stuff. Um, do you think that this, for lack of a better term, age that we're in is a catalyst to dispel a lot of the ignorance that we have? And is that a good thing?
Well, well, let me say this. One thing I realized about writing the chapter and the tack I took to it, the word ignorance is not the best term for what we're talking about because ignorance with it carries an intellectual connotation, which is sort of what you're talking about. Like we have the opportunity for massive input into our intellects of just information, data sorting. Um, that's maybe just slightly, maybe more than slightly. It's different than wisdom. And I would say the ignorance that I'm talking about um, isn't just intellectual. It's not about information. It includes information, but it's more than that. There's our blindness isn't just that we haven't hooked up to Neuralink yet. You know, our blindness is that we have it's a spiritual blindness. We have like through and through we're blind about things that have to do with our physical body and how to control and care for that. And we're blind to spiritual realities as well. So ignorance is more like um, the archetypal ignorance that we're talking about is more like um, blindness, maybe is a better word because that's a more general term, as long as we're thinking metaphorically, not just of the literal uh, physical vision, but some sort of blindness, some sort of
A void of
limitation,
knowledge. Yeah, limitation, a void of knowledge. And I bring up,
but not just knowledge,
yeah,
because
no,
again, knowledge has that intellectual term. So,
yeah.
so the reason why that's my answer to your question is yes, we have an influx of all this information, but that alone is not going to remediate our ignorance. That's only helps part of our ignorance. That helps gets us a bunch more information, but it doesn't necessarily put us on the road to wisdom and what we are lacking spiritually.
So let's say we are spiritually blind. Let's say we're not following a good path. There are certain things, and I think that we've discussed this in prior episodes, there are certain things that one can enact in their daily life on a just on an everyday level, where they're either, let's say they're getting more sunlight, or you're doing certain things. You're starting to walk the path because you've been provided information via YouTube or any of these other things to help kind of get your body in a receptive, your mind and your body in a receptive space for the potential to dissipate that blindness, right? So a lot of people, and that's kind of where I'm like I know that we're not necessarily speaking of ignorance in terms of uh, intellectualism or mentally, so to speak, but a lot of people that were not privy or had a certain understanding of how things worked, let's say spiritually or in other ways, as soon as they gain some sort of a perspective or they start to change in a specific way, do you think that drives people to then dissipate that ignorance or the inability to see or to progress or dissipate whatever barrier is in front of them intrinsically? Do you think that then that's an entirely intrinsic job?
No, I think and this is part of the issue is the the intellectual side of the ignorance doesn't lead. The spiritual side leads. So those people who the path to healing and reconciliation can manifest itself and make use of information, but it's always going to be the spirit that's leading that process and is working through the information. So yes, there's the opportunity, and yes, people will experience that where they, oh, I got more information, and that was part of my process of change. But it's like there are plenty of people who get information put at them and they don't change, right? So there's already something within you that is primed to respond and transform based on the information. And then you better hope that you have uh, that you're not just blanketly receptive, because there's a lot of information that's going to lead you in the wrong way.
Exactly.
So you have to have that openness, that receptive, that positive desire to change, and the humility to change and to take instruction. But you also need, I mean, you need to be shepherded um, by benevolence beyond you uh, to find to encounter and respond appropriately to the appropriate information, not just uh, anything that's out there. So, um, so yeah, I don't think it's not that we have a tool at our hands and then we can perform surgery on ourselves and fix the problem. Um, the the tool is the tool is useful, but the spirit is the determining factor.